All right, I am going to check to make sure this is live. This is the first live that I have done. Yeah, it looks like it's going. This is the first live that I've done. Well, technically it's not because I did a live for part of the FTC Comment Palooza a couple months ago. Can't remember what month it is. That was. But I have not done a live stream where I talk about just nutrition related programs, things that I generally talk about on this channel. So, nutrition related MLMs, other fear mongering nutrition claims and programs, supplements, things that I think might be a little bit scammy, in my opinion. So, today we are talking about the 75 hard. Hi, Avery. Yay. Thank you for being here. I don't know how long this will go or anything, just kind of playing around with it, seeing how this works, how I like it. Hey, Deanna. Yay. I've been having a lot of fun doing live streams with DC. She's just amazing putting everything together. So, hi, Christina. We have been going over the Young Living versus doTERRA lawsuit, reading through it about twice a week for the last couple of weeks, and we still have a while to get through everything. But between that, I wanted to do some other live streams. So I guess we can just dive in. Has anybody here done the 75 hard? I have never done it. There's reasons though for that. If you're catching the live or if you're not used to my channel or anything, sometimes I get some comments or feedback that I should do what I am talking about, or like how would I know to respond? Hey, Jazz. How would I know about the program if I don't try it myself, right? That's a common criticism that I get. And my response to that is always like, we don't have to try everything to have a valid opinion on it, especially coming with my background. And that's not to say that I know everything about nutrition or movement or anything like that. But I can have a opinion over it. I can look through the different programs, different supplements, and use evidence-based information to come up and support those conclusions that I have, right? So if there was a doctor who was recommending their patient to be on a specific kind of medication for their liver failure or their kidney disease or anything, that doctor doesn't have to personally try those medications to either recommend them or not recommend them, right? And so we don't have to try programs in order to have your thoughts about it. As long as they're evidence-based, that's what I want to focus on or try to be on. So Christina, you've attempted it 5 times, but never made it past day 50. Let's see. Hey, Meerkat World. It's nice to see you here. So are you planning on trying it again for a 6th time, I wonder? But okay. So, and if I get anything wrong, Christina, just let me know in the comments, or anybody else. Hi, Annie. Awesome. There's people here. Yay. Okay. All right. So let's start out with some of the rules from the 75 hard. So I signed up for it online, and right away I got some emails about it. He's still sending emails talking about his so it was created by a man named Andy Frisella. He has a podcast. He's also the creator of First Form supplements. So if you are familiar with like if you do CrossFit or if you have done CrossFit in the past, you've probably come across First Form. Either at a competition or at gyms. A lot of gyms have, they're like affiliates of it. There's some question how much of it is like not a lot of information out there as far as single level versus potential multi-level in the affiliation for that. It doesn't seem like a standard multi-level marketing company though. I know Jessica Hickson did a video talking about whether or not it's multi-level or not. So if you have more questions about that, that's a good video to refer to. Okay, so let me open up where am I? Let's talk about this. Okay, so this is just an email that I got when I signed up on the website. So starting off, 75 hard. We're going to talk about the different rules of it and then some of my concerns about the rules, to also go through the web page of the 75 hard, andyfrisella.com. And then also talk about, he had some Q&As on that web page that are a little bit concerning. So wanted to hit on that. All right. So 75 hard, basically he says it's not a fitness program. He talks about it being a transformative mental toughness program. So right off the bat, like, yes, just because you say it's not a fitness program, that doesn't mean that it's like, if you have nutrition programs within there, if you have anything kind of talking about like rules around nutrition or movement, just because you say it's not a fitness program doesn't actually mean that it's not a fitness program. You can talk about the mental toughness side of it and I guess like advertise that side of it. But if it brings in nutrition and movement, it becomes a fitness program in my eyes. So with the 75 hard, the first rule is to follow a diet. Now, this can be the diet of your choice, but it must be a structured plan designed with a physical improvement in mind. So, and this is directly from the actual 75 hard. So it was an email from the creator of it. So you're focused on physical improvements versus health. Like physical improvements outside, like aesthetic wise, that's what I read from that. I'll get more into each one of these in a little bit, but I just want to read them over really quickly first. So you must complete or follow a diet. It can be any diet of your choice. You must complete 2 45-minute workouts, and one of those workouts must be outdoors. Absolutely no alcohol or cheat meals. You have to take a progress picture every day. You're drinking a gallon of water every day, and then you're reading 10 pages of a book, and audiobooks do not count. So within these rules, there is zero compromise, there is zero substitution, and you have to go to sleep to complete the day. If you fail any of these, you must start all the way back over to day 1. So those are the basic foundation, the rules. So let's go ahead and I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to go over to the actual website. Let's see. Share. Okay. So it looks like not a normal kind of website, but it's just like a sales page pretty much for it, even though it's free to participate in it. So it starts out with a disclaimer. You should consult your physician or other healthcare professional before starting 75 hard or any other fitness program to determine if it's right for your needs, and don't start it if they advise against it. I'm wondering how, it's good that they have this disclaimer. I'm wondering how often that people actually ask their doctors before starting this. Okay, so starts out, I think it's kind of funny because at no point will you be asked to enter your credit card information. It's just very much out there. Like, you're not going to pay for it. Like, why? I don't know. I wouldn't assume when I go on a website that they're going to necessarily ask for my credit card information. I don't know, but it's just kind of funny that that's like one of the first things out there. All right. So as I mentioned before, it says this is not a fitness program. 75 hard is a transformative mental toughness program. So if you're looking for a new fitness program or challenge, this is not it, which is interesting because as we'll see down here, there's a lot of before and after pictures. So, and because it's a mental toughness program, like how are you going to see mental toughness in the after picture? It just doesn't really make sense to me. So Christina says, after the 5th time, you realized messed up. This is too much for you. Messed with your old eating disorder and almost put me in a full-blown relapse. I'm so sorry about that. I can see how that can happen with this kind of program and just the no compromise. And that's another concern that I have with this, is that because it's advertised itself as a mental toughness program, not just that, but transformative. And yes, while it does say to consult your physician or other healthcare professional before starting, unfortunately, in my experience, there have been a lot of, physicians or other healthcare professionals who don't really screen for eating disorders. Or if like you aren't at a place, like maybe your doctor wants you to change your weight, and then you describe kind of what you want to do, or they might recommend something, very restrictive kind of way of eating, one that I wouldn't really recommend, kind of encouraging people to start nutrition programs that might trigger either past eating disorder or a new kind of, or not new, but a development in that eating disorder, disordered way of eating. So I can see that being very concerning, especially with the messaging that it is transformative mental toughness program. So, yeah. And this is not to say I have a great relationship with my doctor. Thankfully, they listen to me and do tests that I want to do, and I appreciate that. But that is unfortunately not across the board. And so doctors can be great, but they're also not required to take a lot of nutrition classes, education in it. That's part of the reason why. So I started my career as a dietitian working in a hospital in a clinical setting, of course. And so it was a teaching hospital, and we would have residents come in, and for part of the residents' time there, they would actually spend with the registered dietitians, and we would talk about like different tube feeds, different formulas, different supplements, and it was a really the good thing. It was something that we looked forward to in the dietitian department, is talking with the residents. And so, yeah, it's just some concerns that I have. 75 hard sounded really intimidating to me when my friend talked to me about it. Yeah, I can see that for myself, just kind of looking at those rules, especially if somebody is kind of doing already several of those actions. I can see that maybe it's not that big of a change, or it might just be feel like a competition to them. But if they're, starting out not really doing any of those rules, it can be a lot to just kind of jump on. Yeah, that's that's a landing page. It kind of, I don't know. I'm not I wouldn't call myself good at marketing, but apparently it works because a lot of people are signing up for it. But it just kind of looks bland. I don't know. Maybe that's the goal though. So you're already restricting because you're doing the portion fixed containers. Oh no! And I would restrict even more, only eating from the top of the food list to adhere to the 75 hard rules. Yeah. So you were doing portion fixed containers on top of this. That's a lot. This is a good question. What even is mental toughness? Right. That's going to look different depending on the person, depending on the situation. And who's to say that doing this creates that mental toughness, right? I don't know. Great question though. Oh, yeah, we are definitely going to talk about this. So, 2 workout a day with no rest, your body took a serious beating. And yes, you saw results, but at what cost to your body? Absolutely. So, the daily picture was hard because your body reacts differently. And to different foods, you can gain water weight and look bloated, and that caused some body dysmorphia that you still deal with to this day. Ugh, I'm so sorry for that. And yeah, taking those pictures, that's a lot when you see the different changes, even in the time of the month, depending on the person, too. Um, yeah. Oh. All right. So think of this as an Iron Man for your brain, which, okay. So there's a lot of copy here. This kind of reminded me of what we're encouraged to do in multi-level marketing and MLM. So kind of talking about how you were before, right? So like painting a picture of your struggles in the past. And that's not just in multi-level marketing, but overall just marketing. I think emotion-based marketing, which is a kind of marketing that I see the value in, and I know that that works, but I just like more information-based marketing, not so much ones that are trying to, I guess, pull at different emotions in you. But that's what sells, right? So I'm sure a lot of people, if they were to like land on this page, they would see themselves in part of the struggles that he's talking about. So spent years feeling like I was nothing, floating through my days with no game plan and no results, letting myself go physically or mentally and physically, trying program after program to try to get back on track, only to fall off right after I completed it. And there are other people going through the same struggles, realized that the root cause of all my problems was not addressed by any existing program, because the real problem I had was a lack of mental toughness and discipline. So that's a little bit of a red flag for me as to the problem, to why he felt like he was nothing, floating through the days with no game plan, letting themselves go physically and mentally and physically. Like if somebody is letting themselves go mentally and physically and tries program after program, or even if they're just doing this, like letting themselves go, that does not indicate to me that they have a lack of mental toughness and discipline. Like they might have a lot of stuff going on, mental health wise, that toughness and discipline won't really be the answer to, right? Like they might need to see a mental health professional. So that's one red flag that I see here. If somebody kind of lands on this page and just kind of feels like they're nothing, because I don't know, I don't really conflate or see the link between lack of mental toughness and discipline to feeling like you're nothing, right? Just a little bit of a red flag. Okay, so again, kind of like with emotion-based marketing, if I can do it, anyone can kind of thing. So I'm not special, I'm just like you. I spent the last 20 years figuring out how to master mental toughness and develop the skills needed to take complete control of your life and be successful in anything you do. So it's, I guess, with this program, taking control of your life and being successful in anything that you do, just because you follow these rules doesn't necessarily mean that you'd be successful in anything you do, right? Like so many other things depend on that success. The timing, who you know, environment. This would be a really good time to talk about the social determinants of health, which, let me pull up one of my favorite pictures of that. I think I have, let me see. I think it's in my download file. Here it is. Yeah. Okay. Whoa, this is giant. I have so many screens open. Okay. Let me share. I need to stop sharing that. And this one. Okay. So if you've seen other videos, you might have seen this picture or another picture similar. So the determinants of health. This is a correlation, or all the factors correlated with health outcomes for an individual. So we have individual behavior over here, social circumstances, genetics and biology, medical care, and physical environment. And so it's just a red flag for me whenever I see a program kind of talking about outcomes, like not just health related, but like taking complete control. The quote from the website says, complete control of your life and success in anything you do. And he says, these are the skills you can develop if you choose to commit to making changes and following through on what you say. I've taken everything I've learned about mental toughness and made it into a program I call 75 Hard. So while I do, like, I'm not going to say that none of these things helped him with his mental toughness and his focus on doing the, what do you say, the Ironman for his brain. There are other factors that are going to play a role in other people's outcome of those behaviors, right? So their social circumstances, that's a huge factor. I can make this a little bit bigger. You can't really see those. But yeah, all of these play a role. It's not just about following rules, arbitrary rules. So I'm going to stop this and go back to the website. Where's it? There it is. We're good. Okay. All right. So real problem he had was lack of mental toughness and discipline, and his actual. So this is a creator. So Andy Frisella. Definitely there's physical changes there, and we'll see that there are other pictures. There are a couple reasons why I'm not the biggest fan of before and after pictures. There are many reasons, but I wanted to get through this first before we go through each of the individual rules. All right, so 75 Hard will show you how to 100x the following traits in your life. So your confidence, self-esteem, self-worth, self-belief, fortitude, and grittiness. I can see the grittiness maybe with just like following this for those 75 days. I don't know about self-worth, self-esteem, confidence, self-belief. Like, you can have those things and build those things without having to do something that doesn't require you to make like a single mistake. My concern is that I don't know, what am I trying to say? It reminds me of this kind of intense focus on having perfection with your food choices, your food intake, kind of like orthorexia in a way, where you're kind of fearful of eating the wrong thing, doing the wrong thing, having to have this kind of purity around your diet for the outcome of health, but also just like how you have like your identity almost within what you're eating and how you're moving, and the perfection around that. That's the main concern that I have with that. Yeah. All right. So a lot of people from all over the world have completed 75 Hard, which that's a lot of people. There are several before and after pictures, but one of the reasons why I'm not the biggest fan of those is that they typically will choose, like, cherry pick, choose the ones that appear to have the biggest change. Okay, so this program won't cost you a penny. If you do get on the email list, though, they will send a lot of emails, and that will, of course, have other what's it called? What's the word I'm trying to look for? Just like you'll get information about his podcast. I don't know if I've seen the first form on there, the supplement that he has. So, okay. All right. So, talking about the rules that he has, where are they? Let me stop with that. Let's see. Share. Okay, so follow a diet. This can be any diet of your choice. It must be a structured plan designed with a physical improvement in mind. So, generally, when you focus on the physical improvements versus somebody's health, that, like, who is defining what the improvements are? Does it mean physical improvements in, like, what the society deems is a physical improvement? What does that mean? And then another concern that I have about that is it doesn't really, like, I see the positives in that it doesn't tell you what the diet should be, what you should choose, just that it should be a diet. Um, that can become dangerous if that person, or harmful, I guess is a better word. Like, if they just choose a program, let's say like the portion fix, the 21-day fix, or if they choose um, like keto or another kind of fad, that doesn't really help them, right? Like, if they're choosing, and there's a wide variety of diets that they could choose, but if they choose something that is more harmful, like, that's not going to be really the best thing to do, especially when you're talking about later on the workouts. Like, if you are doing more physical activity than you're used to, you might not be eating enough. And so when somebody typically hears diet, they think of restriction, right? So diet doesn't have to be restriction. There's different definitions for it. So there's the just basic general definition for diet, which is what kind of food that you're eating, like what your intake looks like, what it is typically. But there's also the other description or definition of diet that is a kind of a intentional way of eating to either control, like, a medical nutrition therapy related issue, or to change body composition, which there's a range in what that would look like. But just kind of letting someone choose that. We know from research, as far as behavior change long term, typically doing diets like that is not going to be really helpful for, like, sustainable changes, evidence-based wise, sustainable long-term habits, actions, practices that they're able to do. So by just recommending that you follow a diet, even if it's one that you can choose yourself, there's a reason why there are nutrition coaches and dietitians and people who help with implementation of nutrition changes, right? So the next rule was that you must complete 2 45-minute workouts, and one of those workouts must be outdoors. So I love to work out, and I can be in the gym for several hours, not like working out the whole entire time. Like, if I'm doing lifting, there'll be a couple of breaks between the lifts. There'll be a couple of, like, minutes. Um, but that is not something that I can do right now because I have a 10-month-old, and it doesn't work with our schedule right now, at least. So just to I would be I don't know if I would be okay is the right word, but the fact that consistently throughout the web page and this email talks about zero compromise, zero substitution, like that's not what we want to that's not how we want to approach fitness and health. And even people who do what's in a marathon? What was it called? The Ironman. Um, I guess you could say like if somebody is training for an Ironman, then they would need to kind of get all that taken care of. But it's just not it hurts the part of my heart that meets with people one on one. That sounds kind of funny, but part of the reason why I love meeting with people one on one is that I get to learn about like their specific situation, and I get to tailor whatever kind of practice and action and focus that we're doing on with that person. And so to see something, any program that talks about zero compromise and zero substitution, because even if somebody was training for an Ironman, and I haven't helped somebody train for an Ironman, but I have for like marathons and half marathons and triathlons as well. And there are substitutions that we can do for training for that. And it's going to look a little bit different based on that person's lifestyle and their work hours and just a variety of factors. So I don't like that part about the zero compromise and zero substitution. So you must complete 2 45-minute workouts, and one of those workouts must be outdoors. Let's see, what do the comments say? So this whole thing is trying to control the way you're doing things. I think it's supposed to be part of trying to create better habits, but it just seems very intense. Yeah, very intense. And I know there are going to be some people who like that kind of intensity, but the majority of people, it's not going to be beneficial for that, like more variety, actual people who have real life going on necessarily. I know there are going to be some people who really like this kind of program and will do it, but let's see, what is the rationale for an outdoor workout? Right. It's to increase your mental focus, your mental endurance. I don't know. That's another thing too. So I live in a desert. It's very hot in the summer. If somebody, I don't know, if they're not used to being outside in that kind of heat, or flip side, if you're doing this in the winter, like that's going to be really cold. Like, I don't understand why there can't be a substitution if there's like a blizzard outside or if there's a heavy rainstorm, to just do that workout inside. Right. The first time you did it, you were still living in Alaska and it was February. So I figured what the heck, it's going to be getting warm soon and I can handle -5 degree. Oh my goodness, for a few weeks, 3 weeks in, and we got -30 for like a week. Yeah, that's not going to be very safe. We don't want you to get hyperthermia or anything. Or on the flip side, in the heat, gets too hot. I know it reminds me one time when I was in college, I went to a football game and I don't think I was well hydrated. And at one point in the football game, I started to get cold actually, and I wanted to like have a jacket. And of course, I didn't bring a jacket because it was Texas in the heat where it was football. So I had to go to the little like cool down area. And then for a couple years after that, I didn't sweat very much. It was not good. But what I was thinking about that when I brought that up was that there are no substitutions or no compromising with this. And so let's just say you don't get around to fitting that workout in either like super early when it's cool or later in the evening because of family life or work responsibilities or responsibilities with pets or anything. you would have to fit that in wherever you can fit it in, which might not be very safe for the outdoor workout, right? Um, he does mention on the website that you don't have to run like miles away from the home. You can go in your backyard or driveway and move and have your kids exercise with you. But like, I am not going to bring my 10-month-old outside and put him like in the sun or even in the garage where I could still see him. Like, this is just really hot outside. And early in the morning, like he's up and down, right, with teething and stuff. And so I just can't, I don't know, to say that like I have to do this and fit that in with no compromise or substitution. That's a concern of mine. Also, concerns for injury. So I am a certified personal trainer. It's not my main focus. It's something that I really want to get more into on that side, and I really love that side of things. But I'm not. I wouldn't call myself an expert in that area. But even still, I know that you are supposed to do assessments on people to find out where like they have different areas that might need additional like stretching focus, or you might need to create a program to help in certain areas. If they do like a general squat and they lean forward a lot, there can be some muscle imbalances. Or if they kind of have their arms go forward, or their knees kind of cave in, their ankles looking all kind of wonky, you're going to need to take note of those assessments or those areas for muscle imbalances in order to not just create a program for that person, but also to make sure that they're not going to hurt themselves. And so if somebody is choosing to do this and they are an athlete, they know how to move, they, they're just kind of doing this on the side or doing this for fun, then, they might not see that injury. But if somebody they mentioned how like so many people have done this program, and I'm wondering how many of those, what percentage of people have kind of jumped into this without having so much of that kind of assessment or like needs for assessment, and kind of having some muscle imbalances that maybe they jumped into those 2 45-minute workouts at once and kind of had some injuries come up from there. Right. So just concern for our injury for that, even if it's like he said, doing jumping jacks or push-ups or sit-ups or jump ropes, that can still, I mean, for 45 minutes, you you can get some overuse with that, just the 45 minutes. All right. Yeah, it is not plausible for someone with an extremely filled schedule. And that's the thing. I feel like most people have an extremely filled schedule. At least most people that I know in my life. Even when I was in college, I don't know if I could do this. Like a decade ago, over a decade ago, actually. Yeah, I don't know. Zero compromise or substitution. So you just have to get it done. All right. The next one is, I think those are the main concerns that I had about those. Okay. Moving into the no alcohol or cheat meals. So no alcohol, and that can probably become kind of controversial. I grew up with a very healthy relationship with alcohol. It's kind of having it, not having it be like restricted when I was like an older teenager, and like we would just have like wine sometimes with dinner, or my parents would kind of have me have it paired with dinner, and just kind of learning about that kind of culture of it in that way, or having a little bit of like a sweet liquor kind of drizzled on ice cream or something. So it was just it was available And it wasn't this kind of like, you can't have any, it was more of like a let us know kind of thing. And we can, you can have some, but it was very much not a, like a, unhealthy relationship with alcohol. So, I don't remember the last time that I did have an alcohol drink, but 75 days, that, I mean, it's not something that's generally going to be the best. So, that, okay. But the cheat meals, though, y'all know that I'm not a fan of cheat meals, right? Because food is neutral. And that doesn't mean that food has the same like nutrient density and it's not going to respond in your body in the same way. Like food is neutral doesn't mean that. Food is neutral means that we can look at the situation and the context and then choose a food that's going to best serve whatever goals we have for that moment. So not like long-term goals even, but even like for that context, for that situation of, do I want it to and like fill me up? Do I need it to give me energy for 2 hours, or do I need it to give me energy for 5 hours? Like that's gonna look different. So that's like the food neutrality piece of things. But cheat meals, yeah, food is fuel. Food is also culture. Food is joy. Food is connection. There's a lot of different things that how food can serve us, right? One example that I use often is if you were, let's say you woke up and you had to, like you were training for a half marathon and you woke up, you're running late and you had to like choose between a handful of kale or a handful of like graham crackers. Generally, people are going to always say that kale is healthy. While it is very nutrient dense, in that moment, that's not going to be the healthy choice for that person, for you, if you're trying to get out the door and run a half marathon, right? You're going to need something with more substance, something that's going to provide you with more carbohydrates, more of the quick digesting carbohydrates too. Of course, that's not what I would recommend to have right before a half marathon. A couple of hours before, you'd want to have a meal. Make sure you're getting in some protein, a little bit of fat, but not too much, so that it doesn't kind of, because it's slower to digest, right? So just for comfort and performance wise. And then, of course, having the carbohydrates. But if that was like in the context, in the situation, the handful of kale is not the healthy choice. So just across the board, there is a spectrum of health when it comes to food. And so what defines a cheat meal typically is kind of like arbitrary rules. Like what is a cheat meal? I'd want to ask Andy Frisella, like what does he define as a cheat meal? So I'm not the biggest fan of the term cheat meal. And it implies that something bad is being done. When if you're eating, as long as you're not eating in front of like starving people and not sharing your food with them, it's not bad. It's not a bad thing. So the term cheat meals, in my opinion, doesn't encourage the idea of approaching food with curiosity, compassion, and context. Okay. The next one, what is the next one? So take a progress picture every day. We kind of talked about that. But one of the reasons why I'm not the biggest fan of before and after pictures is that it doesn't tell us anything about how the person's health actually is. Like it doesn't give us their lab values, how their cholesterol levels are going, how their blood pressure is going. It simplifies it into the idea that the after picture is better than the before picture. When that before picture, they might have actually had more nutrient variety intake. They might have been at a lower stress level. We can't tell somebody's health by their after picture, right? Another reason is because they're easily manipulated. So they could go tanning. They could even, I've known of people who contour certain parts like of their abdomen, chest area to appear to look like certain ways in their after pictures. And then just the way they stand as well. They're just so easily manipulated. So And like it was mentioned here, you can have variety of bloating from day to day, and so it can just kind of mess with your mind if you're kind of seeing that and spending so much time focused on that, looking at those pictures. Yeah, cheat meal is not a good term for, in my eyes. Okay, and then I wonder how many people for the 75 hard have often or like gotten lots of praise for their after pictures. A lot of times, like there, one concern I have for after pictures is if somebody is getting a whole lot of praise for those after pictures, which can feel really, really good and encouraging in the moment, when their after picture body changes from that, like how are they going to be okay with that and kind of having those compliments come from that specific kind of body and not their consistent body. Your friend contours its out. It happens so much. Yeah. It's definitely I know beach body coaches who have done it. So I think it's false advertising. And it's different. So like if somebody wants to do that and they kind of see it as an art piece, like I understand where they're coming at it from in that way. When it starts to mess with people and how they see their own body, it starts to mess with them with like their piece around body positivity and how they view their body and having that healthy relationship with their body. That's the concern that I get with that. Okay, the next one is drink 1 gallon of water every single day. So there's a huge difference of water needs between, let's say, a woman who is in the let's say like 110, versus a man who is 275 pounds or 250 pounds. That's a big difference in the amount of water that those people are going to need, right? And so, what I would say in replacement for this rule in particular would probably be to aim for a specific color of like your urine output, or to make it more individualized, maybe like start with half of your body weight in ounces and adjust based on the urine color, the output. And it's also going to make a difference as to where you're living. If you're living in the desert, or if you're living somewhere where it's a little desert and it's hot, or if it's cooler, your needs are going to be so different. So it's just very blank. Yeah, if you get 32 ounces, that's a win for sure. And I mean, you can also fruit and vegetables, food. We get a lot of fluid with the food that we eat. So that's going to make an impact too as to what recommendations are for that specific person. If they're eating a lot of those kind of things, or if not, that's going to make an impact as to what recommendations are that they get. Okay. All right. And then 10 pages of a book. So this one, not nutrition related or fitness related. I like the idea of reading 10 pages from a book. I don't do that. My beef with this is that audiobooks do not count. So there are many people, neurodivergent and non-neurodivergent, who just, I think, are able to focus better with audiobooks and even retain more information better with an audiobook. And so I'm not a big fan of this because of that. Personally, I get a lot out of audiobooks. And one of my frustrations is when people say that audiobooks do not count, because if you are getting into that information, and you already have, like, you're already taking out the time of the day to do the 45-minute workouts, and follow all the other rules. But like, that's a lot of time reading the 10 pages of a book. I'm putting my own story into this, but there are some evenings where my 10-month-old does not want to go to bed with enough time for me to do everything that I need to get done in the house and for work in order to have enough time to read 10 pages of a book and get enough sleep. So that's just me. I would rather do audiobooks and still get the benefit of those books, right? The last audiobook I did was the Janet McCurdy's I'm Glad My Mom Died book. It's a really good book if you haven't read that. All right. And then if you fail any of these rules, you must start over. And there are no, that's just it. You start from the beginning. All right. So let's go to, let me stop the screen. Let me go back to the website. Okay. So he has a couple of Q&As. Let's see. I'll start when I'm ready. So this, I guess, is not really a Q&A, but somebody who is not, I guess, not in, ready to get going. It says, I'll start when I'm ready. And his response is, that, my friend, is your entire problem in life. You wait. You wait for the perfect time. You wait for the stars to align with Mercury in retrograde or something else crazy like that. The point is you wait and you don't do. Allow me to let you in on a little secret. There's never a perfect time. The stars never align. You'll never be ready. That's the point of 75 Hard, to develop the toughness so that no matter what happens in your life, you have the mental fortitude to deal with it. So start, execute. So I can see part of this. There never really seems to be like a perfect time to start something. But at the same time, there are also times where there is not a good time to start this based on everything else that is going on in your life. So like I think of this summer. So my husband, he had to go to a course, so he's military, and he was gone for 2 months. So I was solo parenting for those 2 months. That is not a time where starting something, and there was a whole lot of teething going on, and like not sleeping or waking up every 2 hours. It was really, really hard. I don't want to do that again. But it would be better for me to, if I were to do this, which I'm not, to wait to start like now that he's back and that I have the extra support and normal kind of co-parenting help with my husband being home, right? Like that is going to be a better time for me to start something. And so, yes, there's never a perfect time, but there are a lot of better times to start something. And I don't think that shaming somebody into doing something when there is so much going on with their life is really fair or nice. All right. So, of course, what happens if you fail? You start back over on day 1. And they say if you modify the program and just say you completed it, did you really succeed? No. And he goes on to say that's the whole problem with your life. You constantly modify your plans and goals so that you can say you completed them. And by doing that, you never actually achieve what you're actually capable of. And you end up feeling worse about yourself because you know deep down you cheated. When you're talking about following any kind of implementation, nutrition wise or fitness wise, one thing that you really don't want to do as a coach is to like shame somebody into doing something, because if they don't do it, then they're cheating. That's just a recipe for guilt and shame. You don't accomplish anything great by changing the rules in your favor just to check the box. Sometimes in life, there is flexibility, though. You don't have to follow you just because like you have to have flexibility, that doesn't mean that you didn't accomplish something great. All right. So what's another one? Okay. So this reminds me of so putting this on top of the 21-day fix, the portion fix. So if you're on another program, you can't do the 75 hard. That's a concern. And he responds with, you, my friend, are wrong. You can absolutely do the 75 hard. He developed the 75 hard to run in line with your current fitness program, no matter what it is. That is baloney, because if you are working with a personal trainer and they have you on a program that is very much tailored for you, and that does not mean that and it's not that you have to work out 2 times a day or even for 45 minutes. That's not going to run concurrently with that program. Oh, technically he said diet program. So, but still, if I was working with somebody medical nutrition therapy wise on a program, or medical nutrition therapy wise, it won't line up together. All right. Oh, he does talk about the 2 workouts a day. So there are 2 workouts a day, and I don't specify what you do there. So plug in the workout from your other program for one of the workouts, and then do another workout that day. So yeah, what I was saying, if you're working with a personal trainer and they don't want you to jump into that much physical activity for any reason, that's not going to align with it. All right. Can you do insert your own random task instead of one of the 75 hard tasks? No, that's the entire problem. You are trying to compromise and adapt things to suit your needs before you ever even start. When you make a small compromise to yourself, it ingrains that decision pattern in your life. You subconsciously tell yourself that it's okay without knowing, creating a pattern of compromise across every single area of your life. That compromise nerfs off the soft edges of what could be an exceptional life. So you can do this. So don't start off the wrong foot by compromising. That's the whole purpose of working with a professional, right? Like in fitness, in your nutrition or your physical activity. You want to have that individual kind of like attention, or that one-on-one kind of relationship. So where you can make things like insert your own life into that program and choose the tasks that work best for you, that are going to be most sustainable and most doable and most helpful. It's not about following a specific set of arbitrary rules. All right. And then, this is the one that I was mentioning earlier. So if you're doing an outdoor workout, you don't have to run miles from your home. Go to your backyard or driveway and move. Do jumping jacks, push-ups, sit-ups, jump rope, anything, or have your kids exercise with you. It's a great opportunity for you to teach them positive habits while they're young, which will set them up for success as they grow up. So I really do like taking my little one to the gym if I can, just so he can see me lifting, just kind of grow up around that. But he's not about to do it with me. Like, he can't walk or anything. And if it's too hot outside or too cold, I'm not going to take him out there. Okay. Or raining. And let's see. Some people say it seems pretty easy. Okay. And yeah, so more before and after pictures, things, and their testimonies for that. So if you say you're in, you just fill out this form, and then you start getting all of the emails. And yeah, so let me go ahead and stop sharing. Let's see. All or nothing mindset leads to so much shame and paralysis. Like, if I can't do it perfectly, so why even try? Exactly. that's what I'm really concerned about with this program in particular, that like really sums it up well, as to like, if you are trying to make improvements in your physical health, whether that's coming from the nutrition side or the fitness side. I know he says that it's not a fitness challenge, that it's a mental challenge. But still, when you're adding all of those fitness aspects, it becomes a fitness program. And so much of the reason why we have like all of these kind of fad programs and fad diets and such is that there is kind of that mentality of you're either on the wagon or off the wagon, and you're either like on track or off track, and not really the support or the teaching of implementing these kind of small actions and practices that are consistent and that aren't really flashy and that aren't really exciting, and that don't really sell well, unfortunately, which is part of the reason why. This really does feel like it could create a lot of black and white thinking. Yeah, a lot of black and white thinking, a lot of dichotomous approaches to fitness. And these rules are outrageous and borderline dangerous, in my opinion. My opinion, too. We are on the same page there. So, for the majority of people, I would not recommend this if they're trying to look at a program for like consistency and implementation of things that they want to do for their health. And I know I keep going back to it's not a fitness program, it's a transformative mental toughness program. But if you're doing like a mental toughness program, I would kind of want the creator of that program to be a mental health professional. For having a mental program, in my opinion, it should be a mental health professional creating that program. For some competitors or some athletes, I can see this just being a challenge for fun. But even working with several gyms, there have been just small little handfuls of people who I can see maybe like really just do this for fun. And how it is kind of pushed or recommended, or a lot of the people who this will fall into their lap a little, the opportunity will come up maybe at their gym too. It's not what I would recommend for them to do for consistency wise and sustainability wise. And it kind of reminds me of when he says this is not a fitness program, when like Beachbody or other companies will say like, this is not a diet, it's a lifestyle, when it's clearly a diet. Like if you have to say that it's not a diet, it might be a diet. All right. So those are kind of my thoughts about it. Thank y'all for coming on and talking, being part of the conversation. I feel like I was kind of awkward. Not used to being on these by myself or even on these in general. So I'm really excited for just the opportunity that you took to just take time out of your day to spend with me. I don't take that lightly. And I greatly appreciate that you were here and just involved in listening to some of the concerns that I had about this program. So, all right. I may or may not do another one of these. Thank you, Avery. But I'll leave this up I'll probably leave this up. I don't know. I might take it down, but all right. I will see y'all later. Thank you so much. Thank you, Deanna. And remember, you can strive for health without subscribing to diet culture. I'll see y'all later. Bye.